Access your free language gifts right now, before they expire. Here's what you're getting this month. First, the Love Conversation Cheat Sheet. Do you know how to ask someone out in your target language? With this new cheat sheet, you'll master tons of romantic phrases, just in time for Valentine's Day. Download it for free right now. Second, the 400 Everyday Phrases for Beginners ebook. This bonus ebook will teach you over 400 words and phrases related to daily activities, like waking up, making breakfast, going to work or school, and much more. Third, can you talk about containers in your target language? Learn how to say box, bottle, bin, and much more with this quick vocabulary bonus. Fourth, must-know Valentine's Day vocabulary. Can you talk about Valentine's Day in your target language? You'll be able to with this quick 1-minute vocabulary lesson. Fifth, the top 15 encouraging phrases. Want to be able to say positive phrases like believe in yourself and don't give up? Then get this bonus phrase lesson. Sixth, free audiobooks. Unlock our huge library of language learning audiobooks. Save them to any device and listen and learn. They're yours to keep forever. And finally, the deal of the month. If you want to finally master the language with lessons by real teachers and our complete language learning program, take the 12-month challenge and get 12 months of Premium or Premium Plus at up to 45% off. To get your gifts and language learning resources, click the link in the description below. Download them right now, before they expire.
Hi everyone, welcome to ItalianPod101.com. My name is Daisy. Mi chiamo Daisy. Mi chiamo Daisy. And in this video we're gonna talk about some shopping phrases. Fare shopping. Fare shopping. So as the title says already, shopping is a word that became normal in Italian as well. So when I say, ho voglia di fare shopping, I feel like doing some shopping, I feel like going for shopping, it's completely fine. Fare shopping. If you want to say that in a more Italian way, something else that we say is fare compere. So to make purchases, to make buys, to buy, fare compere. Or fare spese, to make expenses, literally do expenses, fare spese. Or andare per negozi, where negozi is shops, andare is to go. So to go through shops, to go among shops. Andare per negozi. It means that I want to go to one shop and the other, right? While if I say fare la spesa, so singular, la spesa, le spese, okay? Fare la spesa means to go grocery only, okay? Fare la spesa means that you're buying something that you need to eat or like for the house. That being said, something that you will need like the moment you step into a shop, of course you say hi, buongiorno, buongiorno, and then the word is commesso or commessa. It's the clerk, the staff, right? Commesso if it's male, commessa if it's female, and it's general, so like you don't have to specify if it's a waiter or if it's like a cashier or something. You just go for commesso or commessa, and commessi is the plural, of course. So when il commesso or la commessa asks you, when they see you coming in, they will probably ask you, hai bisogno? Hai bisogno? Which means, do you need something? Can I help you with something? Cerchi qualcosa? Are you looking for something? Cerca, in case it's more formal, right? Cerca qualcosa? Qualcosa is something. In this case, if you want to be helped, you can say, sì, cerco un regalo. Yes, I'm looking for a gift. Sì, vorrei. Yes, I'd like. Vorrei 2 mele. I'd like 2 apples. Okay? While if you're really going for shopping, which means like you just want to look around, you can say no, grazie, no, thank you, sto solo guardando. I'm just looking. Sto solo guardando. This is really helpful because people will come and ask you. And if you want to take your time, just go with sto solo guardando. And then later on you can still ask them if you really need something or if you can't find what you're looking for, right? Let's assume you found something that you like and you want to know how much it is. Quanto costa? How much does it cost? Quanto costa? And then they will tell you the price, right? 2 euro. Be careful because euro doesn't change the word. It's never plural. It's not 2 euri. It's still euro, okay? Costa 2 euro. Costa 10 euro. Costa 1 euro. And then you can be like, no, troppo caro. Too expensive. Caro is expensive. Troppo is too much, right? Too expensive. Troppo caro. Now you may want to try and ask for a discount, right? So you can say, posso avere, can I have a sconto? A discount. Sconto. It's kind of similar, right? Sconto. Discount, sconto. C'è lo sconto? Is there a discount? Posso avere uno sconto? Can I have some discount? Now, when you're in a shop and the price is there already, you don't ask for that, right? That's a normal rule, I guess, everywhere in the world. While if you're at a market or the price is not shown, you can ask for a discount. It's not like the rule for you to ask, but you can try and then you'll see. While when you see the word saldi, it means that there are some sales going on, okay? Saldi. So you may want to plan your trip in Italy, this is a tip, when saldi are on, which is in July, August, or of course January, after the Christmas period. Saldi. So if you don't want to say that that's too expensive, but still want to ask for something cheaper, you can say, c'è qualcosa, is there di più economico? Cheaper, più economico. Economico is cheap, so più economico is cheaper. Is there something cheaper? C'è qualcosa di più economico? Just asking, you know? For example, when you're looking for a gift, you can give an idea of how much you want to spend. Vorrei spendere, I'd like to spend, vorrei spendere, intorno, around, ai 20 euro. I'd like to spend around 20 euros. Vorrei spendere intorno ai 20 euro. 20 euros. You can change the number according to your budget. Then when you decide, you can say prendo questo. I'll take this one. Prendo, prendere, from take. I'll take this. Prendo questo. And la commessa will probably ask you qualcos'altro, qualcos'altro, something else. You can say no, thank you, no, grazie, basta così, this is enough, basta così, that will be all, basta così, or sì, anche, blah blah blah. Yes, something too. Anche means too. And this is just about vocabulary basically, right? But something that is really specific of Italian is, for example, when you're queuing, there are times when a number is given, so you have to take a ticket with a number on it and wait for your turn, right? If there's not a number, for example, at the market, and you're just like lining up, waiting with people, but people don't really line up, they're just waiting there, okay? The person that is selling at some point may ask this, a chi tocca? A chi tocca? Toccare means to touch, right? And chi is who. A chi tocca literally means who is the one that has to be touched. Okay? But don't worry, no one will touch you. It just means who's next, whose turn it is. We can also say è il mio turno, it's my turn, turno, tocca a me. It's my turn again, but literally it is time for me to be touched. But that doesn't mean what it means literally, okay? Remember this, because I find it really funny when I think about it, but it just means it's my time, it's my turn. Tocca a me. You have to imagine that the turn is something physical and now it's touching you, like, go for it. it's on you now. So the turn is touching you, okay? Tocca a me. Related to this, sometimes you can see something like prendere il numero per essere serviti. Take the number, take the ticket to be served, okay? Prendere il numero per essere serviti, to be served. Let's say you found something to buy, now it's time to pay. Pagare, pagare, to pay. Posso pagare con carta? Can I pay by card? Can I pay with a card? Posso pagare con carta? No, solo contanti. No, cash only. Contanti is cash. Solo contanti. Nowadays it's common to use the card in many places, but it's not as common as in America, for example. So yeah, be ready to always have some cash on you, especially if you go to markets, which in my opinion are the best place to buy stuff in Italy, because you can see people talking to each other, screaming sometimes, but it's really lively, okay? So yeah, always have some cash on you, not too much, because you don't want to risk it, but... And something else that they may ask you is, hai moneta? A moneta, I informal, a formal. Moneta is coins. So do you have some coins? Let's assume you're paying by cash and you just have a big note. Banconota, banconota is note. They ask you for some coins. Moneta, moneta. Of course, this is just in general, like how the flow of buying, of shopping would go, with some phrases here and there. There are many specific words that depends on the shop that you're in, but as last, I want you to remember this. You can see that sometimes in shops, but it's a general rule, okay? Controllare il resto prima di uscire. Controllare, check, il resto, the change, prima, before, di uscire, exiting. So check your change before going out, okay? I mean, this is a general rule, but it's always nice to remember this. Controllare il resto. Resto, change. Hello everyone, welcome back to ItalianPod101.com. My name is Daisy. Mi chiamo Daisy. Mi chiamo Daisy. And in this video, we're gonna talk about time. Che ore sono? Che ore sono? Che ore sono? It's a question. What time is it? First of all, let's clarify that even though the word tempo, tempo, tempo does mean time, we also use that for weather, like che tempo fa? How's the weather like? So we don't say che tempo è for time, but we use the word ore, which is hours. The good news is that you don't have to worry about singular or plural, because you can either say che ora è, so singular, un'ora, an hour, che ora è, or che ore sono, plural, hours, che ore sono. Even though for the question you don't have to think about singular or plural, you just have to combine it, right? So if you use ora, then you use the singular form of the verb to be, ora è, che ora è, while if you use the plural ore, then you use the plural form of the verb to be, right? Che ore sono. That's the only thing that you have to think for the answer as well. And what I mean is that when you say 1, so it's 1 a.m. or p.m., we're gonna see how to say that later, you just have to say è luna. È luna. Because it's singular, right? Just 1 hour. So è luna. And that's the only case when you use è. For the rest, you just use sono, plural, because it's always more than 1 if it's not luna, right? Follow me. For example, sono le 2, sono le 2, it means it's 2 o'clock. Che ore sono? Sono le 10. What time is it? It's 10. Sono le 10. If you want to add sono le 10 in punto, it means it's 10 o'clock. In punto. Punto. Punto literally means dot. So it's just 10. Le 10 in punto. While in English you say, for example, it's 5 past 4. 5 past 4, so 5 minutes past 4 o'clock. we just add and to the hours to say the minutes as well. So we say sono le 4, it's 4 e 5. Sono le 4 e 5, and that implies 5 minutes. Sono le 4 e 5 minuti. It's 4 and 5 minutes. 5 past 4. Sono le 4 e 10 minuti. 10 past 4. Sono le 4 e 15 minuti. It's 15 past 4. Of course, when you want to say the time, you have to know numbers as well, but there are some expressions that don't involve numbers, not at all, but that can help sometimes. For example, if you don't want to say and 15, so 15 minuti, you can say un quarto, a quarter. 12, 12, e un quarto. Sono le 12 e un quarto. It's 12 and 15. Be careful though, because when it's half, we don't say 2 quarters past 12, but we use the word mezza, which literally means half. And we use that with the female exception, because ora is feminine. Ora. So, sono le 12 e mezza. 12 e mezza. Sono le 9 e mezza. It's 9:30. Or it's 12:30. 12 e mezza. 9 e mezza. Or, of course, you can say 12 e 30. Or 9 e 30. 9 and 30. 12:30. 9 e 30. While if it's 12:45, so you can either say 12 e 45, 45, or you can say a quarter to 1. E l'una meno un quarto. Meno literally means less, minus. So it's 1 minus a quarter. Minus a quarter. E l'una meno un quarto. L'una meno un quarto. 15 minuti all'una. 15 minutes to 1. And this meno word, which as I said means minus, can be used with other numbers as well. For example, le 2 meno 10. 10 minutes to 2. Le 3 meno 5. 5 minutes to 3. Le 3 meno 5. Of course, when you're asking what time it is, it's kind of obvious, like if it's day or night, right? But if you want to specify, you can say è l'una del mattino, it's 1 a.m. Mattino is morning, del mattino, so of the morning, l'una del mattino, or l'una del pomeriggio, afternoon, del pomeriggio, pomeriggio. And talking about parts of the day, we have mattino, as we just said, it's morning. Let's say, odio svegliarmi presto al mattino. I hate waking up early in the morning. Odio, I know it's a strong word, but it's true. Odio, I hate. Svegliarmi, waking up. Svegliarmi. Presto, early, presto. Al mattino. In the mornings. Odio svegliarmi presto al mattino. Let me sleep. In the middle of the day, we have midday. Mezzogiorno. As I said before, mezza means half, but also in the middle. So, mezzogiorno. The half of the day. In the middle of the day. Mezzogiorno. Then we have pomeriggio. Pomeriggio. Afternoon. Afternoon. Pomeriggio. Sera, evening, sera, and then notte, when it's night, right? Notte. And same as midday, we have midnight. So if midday was mezzogiorno, midnight will be mezzanotte. Mezzanotte. Mezza just because notte is feminine. Mezza notte. While mezzo giorno. Dormo, I sleep, sempre, always, before, prima, di, mezzanotte. Mezzanotte. I always sleep before midnight. Dormo sempre prima di mezzanotte. That's a good habit, but it's a lie for me. That's why I hate waking up early in the morning. So if you don't want to ask what time it is, but at what time something happens or happened, then you use the expression a che ora. Literally, at what time. A che ora. What time does the movie start? A che ora inizia il film? A che ora, what time, inizia il film? Does the movie start? So, I have a question for you. A che ora sei nato? What time were you born? A che ora sei nato? Io sono nata, I was born, alle 8 di sera. I was born at 8 o'clock in the evening. Io sono nata alle 8 di sera. I was born at 8 o'clock in the evening.
This is Mark Lee, and he's in the office break room. He greets Matteo Marino, a colleague, and asks, "How are you?"
Come stai?
Listen to the conversation and focus on the question. Ready?
Come stai?
Sto bene, grazie.
Once more with the English translation.
Come stai?
How are you?
Sto bene, grazie.
I'm well, thank you.
Let's take a closer look at the conversation.
First, do you remember how Mark asks, "How are you?"
Come stai?
First is,
Come?
how?
Come? Come?
Next is,
Stai?
you are.
Stai? Stai?
Note,
Stai?
is a shortened form of
Tu stai?
you are. In Italian,
Tu.
you is usually omitted as it's understood from context.
Stai?
Is from the verb
Stare?
meaning to be.
Stare?
Altogether, it's
Come stai?
how are you?
Come stai?
Note the rising intonation to mark that it's a question.
Come stai?
Let's take a closer look at the response.
Do you remember how Matteo says, "I'm well, thank you"?
Sto bene, grazie.
I'm well, thank you.
Sto bene, grazie.
First is,
Sto.
I am.
Sto. Sto.
Note,
Sto.
is a shortened form of
Io sto.
I am. In Italian,
Io.
I is often omitted when it's understood.
Sto.
Is from the verb
Stare.
meaning to be in this context.
Stare.
Next is
Bene.
well.
Bene. Bene.
Together, it's
Sto bene.
I'm well.
Sto bene.
Note,
Sto bene.
may translate as I'm well, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm okay, etc. But we'll use I'm well for this lesson. Next is
Grazie.
meaning thank you.
Grazie. Grazie.
Altogether, it's
Sto bene, grazie.
I'm well, thank you.
Sto bene, grazie.
Note the question
Come stai?
is for informal situations. For formal situations, simply replace
Stai.
with
Sta.
the formal form of you are.
Come sta?
How are you? For formal situations.
Come sta?
Remember this variation. You'll see it again later.
In Italian, there are two verbs that translate as to be: stare and essere. When talking about well-being, use stare. When responding to come stai? How are you? Always use the verb stare, as in sto bene. I'm fine.
Let's look at some more examples. Listen and repeat, or speak along with the native speakers.
Come stai?
Sto bene, grazie.
Come stai?
Sto bene, grazie. Come stai?
Sto abbastanza bene, grazie.
Come stai?
Sto abbastanza bene, grazie. Come sta?
Sto bene, grazie.
Come sta?
Sto bene, grazie.
Come stai?
Sto benissimo, grazie.
Come stai?
Sto benissimo, grazie.
Come stai?
Bene, e tu?
Come stai?
Bene, e tu? Did you notice how I added the phrase e tu? Bene, e tu?
I'm well. And you? First is
Bene.
well.
Bene.
Here
Bene.
is the shortened form of
Sto bene.
I'm well. Next is
E tu?
and you?
E tu?
First is
E.
and.
E. E.
Next is
Tu.
an informal word meaning you.
Tu. Tu.
Together, it's
E tu?
meaning and you?
E tu?
You can use this phrase to reciprocate the question when someone asks you about your well-being. For example, if someone says,
Come stai?
you can respond with,
Bene. E tu?
first respond to the question, then inquire about the other person's well-being with,
E tu?
and you? Note, as
Tu.
you is informal, this expression is appropriate for informal situations. Remember this pattern.
Bene. E tu?
You'll see it again later. Let's review the key vocabulary.
Abbastanza bene.
Pretty good.
Abbastanza bene. Abbastanza bene. Benissimo.
Great.
Benissimo. Benissimo.
Let's review. Respond to the prompts by speaking aloud. Then repeat after me, focusing on pronunciation. Ready? Do you remember how to say how? Come. Come. And how Mark Lee asks, how are you?
Come stai?
Come stai? Do you remember how to say, well? Bene. Bene. And how to say, I'm well? Sto bene. Sto bene. Do you remember how to say, thank you? Grazie. Grazie. Do you remember how Matteo says, I'm well, thank you?
Sto bene, grazie.
Sto bene, grazie. Do you remember how to say, and you? E tu? E tu? And how to say, pretty good. Abbastanza bene. Abbastanza bene.
Let's practice. Imagine you're Matteo, Mark's colleague. Ask how Mark is doing using informal Italian. Ready?
Come stai?
Sto abbastanza bene, grazie.
Listen again and repeat.
Come stai? Come stai?
Let's try another. Imagine you're Karen's teacher, Rosa Romano, and you're starting class. Ask about Karen's well-being using formal Italian. Ready?
Come sta?
Sto bene, grazie.
Listen again and repeat.
Come sta? Come sta?
Let's try one more. Imagine you're Sasha and you meet your friend at school. Respond by saying, well, and you? Ready?
Come stai?
Bene. E tu?
Listen again and repeat.
Bene. E tu? Bene. E tu?
This is the end of this lesson.
Remember, these can-do lessons are about learning practical language skills. What's next? Show us what you can do. When you're ready, take your assessment. You can take it again and again, so try anytime you like. Our teachers will assess it and give you your results.
Now you know how to ask about well-being in Italian. That's all there is to it. Keep practicing and move on to the next lesson.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Monthly Review, the monthly show on language learning, where you discover new learning strategies, motivational tips, study tools, and resources. By the way, all the lessons and bonuses you're about to see can be downloaded for free on our website. So click the link in the description right now to sign up for your free lifetime account. Okay, today's topic is how to adjust your routine and learn language from home. Many of us are spending more and more time at home. So how do you make the best of this time and learn your target language? Learning at home can be tough with all the distractions. And in this episode, you're going to discover the pros and cons of learning at home and how to successfully learn from home without getting distracted. How to adjust your routine and learn language from home. Recently, many people have started to work and take classes from home. With language learning, since it's something people do in their own time, a lot of it is done at home anyway. But that doesn't mean that all of this hasn't affected how people learn. If you used a language learning app or listened to lessons during your commute, but you don't commute anymore, the pandemic has probably ruined your flow. With many of us spending more time at home, being able to learn from home efficiently is a good skill to have. Because while learning or working from home sounds good, it's not exactly easy to do. Part 1. The pros and cons of learning at home. First, the pros. There's convenience. You can learn whenever you want. You also have more time in the day since you're not commuting or walking from the train station into work. It's also easier to practice speaking. Many people might find it hard to practice on the train or at a lunch break or in the office during work. It might sound a little strange, but at home, you can dedicate more time to practicing speaking. What's your favorite pro of learning at home? Leave us a comment. Now, what about the cons? Distractions. There are a lot more distractions at home. There's the TV, there's the couch and the food and family members coming in and out. Next, there's no physical or mental separation between rest and work, which is crucial for focus. It's the same reason why people prefer going to the gym instead of working out from the comfort of their own home. If you're in a place where there's only one goal, like working out, and you're surrounded by people working out, you'll have no problem doing it. But if you're in a place you associate with rest, eating, and watching TV, you might have trouble focusing. But if you're spending more time at home, then you should at least make the best of it and learn your language at home. Part 2. How to successfully learn from home without getting distracted. So, here's how you do it. First, pick a dedicated place for learning, and preferably not your bed. Just like an office is associated with working time and your bedroom is associated with rest, you need a place associated with language learning. It could be your desk in the corner of the room. It could be your basement, as long as it's far from distractions and places of rest. Second, pick a time. That way, for example, when it's 9 p.m., you know it's time to put in 10 minutes of language learning. 3. Time box your study sessions. What's time boxing? Time boxing is simply setting a fixed amount of time for an activity. For example, you're going to dedicate the next 10 minutes to language and nothing else. If you usually have trouble concentrating, time boxing is a good way to set boundaries and get things done. 4. Start small. Just like with setting small, measurable goals and realistic routines, don't set aside 2 hours for study time. Instead, try to time box 5, 10, or 15 minutes and stick with that for a week or two. You can always increase your time later once you get more comfortable with your routine. 5. Do multiple sessions in one day. Instead of trying to master a lesson and the lesson dialogue in one shot, space out your learning throughout the day, in the morning, afternoon, and at night. So take an audio or video lesson and read along with the lesson notes in the morning. You'll get acquainted with the conversation, all the words, and grammar rules. Don't rush to memorize it all. You'll come back to it later in the day. And do this for around 5 to 15 minutes. During the day, practice shadowing the dialogue. Practice recalling the words. Do this for around 10 minutes. You can also write out the lesson dialogue, practice using the grammar rules, or drill the words with flashcards. And at night, come back and review for about 10 minutes. You can re-listen to the lesson or just the dialogue track. By doing multiple sessions in one day, you'll be a lot more comfortable with the language, simply because you spaced out your learning and came back to review. And while it may feel repetitive, it's the repetition that helps you master the language over the long term. 6. Use at-home time to practice speaking more. It would be hard to practice if you were commuting or out on a walk, but if you're at home, you can easily speak out loud without drawing attention or feeling embarrassed. So, to recap, 1. Pick a specific place for learning that's far from distractions like your bed. 2. Pick a specific time for studying. 3. Time box your study sessions. 4. Start small. 5. Do multiple sessions in one day. And 6. Use at-home time to practice speaking more. So thank you for watching this episode of Monthly Review. Next time, we'll talk about the power of learning a language with someone else. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. And if you're ready to finally learn language the fast, fun, and easy way and start speaking from your very first lesson, get our complete learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Click the link in the description. See you next time. Bye! There are a lot of people working to learn another language. But there are also a lot of people who grew up speaking 2 or more languages without even thinking about it. If you're able to speak 2 languages, you're bilingual. If you can speak more, you're multilingual. In many countries, being bilingual or multilingual is normal or even expected. But in some countries, people grow up speaking and learning 1 language. If you speak 1 language, you're monolingual. So, what can monolinguals learn from bilinguals or multilinguals? This video will look at what it's like to be comfortable in 2 or more languages. Here are 6 pieces of information relating to bilingualism and multilingualism that you can use in your language learning. First, bilingualism and the brain. How does being bilingual or multilingual affect the brain? Do you dream in both languages? Do you see subtitles in your head for the other language as somebody's talking? The answers to questions like these are different for everyone. Some people may dream mostly in the language they're most comfortable with, and occasionally in another language. Some people may be able to effortlessly move between the languages they know, while others may get stuck from time to time. These are all normal parts of knowing more than 1 language. People who were exposed to another language since birth may have certain advantages in language acquisition over monolinguals. They may already be familiar with certain sounds and sound combinations that monolinguals are not familiar with. As a language learner, you're probably quite familiar with this. If you've already mastered a language and have decided to start learning a new one, you're probably going to unconsciously make connections to words in different languages. You'll think to yourself, this word has the same vowel sound as another word I know, so it should sound pretty similar. When it comes to studying things like new vocabulary words and grammar, however, monolinguals, bilinguals, and multilinguals all need to spend time learning and memorizing. So in your own learning, don't be discouraged by people who speak your native language and your target language. They may have had a totally different learning experience than you. Consider your language studies, not language abilities. Second, language mistakes and confusion. You may be wondering if bilinguals ever confuse languages in their heads. Generally, people who are fluent in multiple languages can separate the languages mentally. However, there are situations where people momentarily forget words, even in our native languages, or we think of a word in one language but not in another. In some cases, we might even want to use a word that exists in one language but not in the other. An interesting concept from academic literature on this topic is perfect bilingualism. It's the idea that someone can speak 2 languages perfectly at an equally high level. Many people assume that someone who grew up speaking 2 languages would be able to use both of them perfectly and sound flawless, but this is generally not true. Bilingual people are often more comfortable talking about certain topics in specific languages. There are also situations where bilingual people may pronounce words with a slightly different accent than monolingual people. Interestingly enough, there's also a similar pattern among bilingual couples. Bilingual couples usually have a single dominant language. Even if they can speak another language with fluency and ease, people will usually use the language that's most efficient and comfortable. Third, bilingual societies. Can you imagine a place where you talk to your family in one language, your neighbors in another, your boss in a third, and write letters in a fourth? This might sound like a dream for many language enthusiasts, but in some societies, it's normal. This type of multilingual society occurs on border regions all throughout the world. In northern Iraq, for instance, people usually speak Kurdish, Turkish, and Iraqi Arabic, and many of them use modern standard Arabic and English at school. In some parts of China, people might learn English at school, speak their city's dialect of Mandarin when out shopping, speak standard Mandarin at work, and perhaps even speak another language when at home with their families. Some of these people might even say they're bad at languages. When people say this, it's often because they grew up using these languages, not learning them in school. When they were using a language at a friend's house and got their pronunciation corrected, there was no anxiety involved. This kind of learning is different than learning in a school setting, where tests and classrooms can cause pressure and discomfort. Media exposure plays a huge role, too. Many people around the world are functionally bilingual in English thanks to TV and YouTube. Sometimes parents, even in societies where people speak several languages, will put on educational English videos for kids to watch. But what's even more fun is something that's enjoyable for the kids that's already in English. You can do this too as an adult language learner. There's a time and a place for coursework, but if you're able to shut off the learning part of your brain and simply absorb content you're interested in, you'll be surprised at what you can pick up after a couple of months. Fourth, heritage languages. You might know someone from an immigrant family who speaks a different language at home than they do with everybody else. That language is referred to academically as a heritage language. Basically, a language that someone learned at home without using it very much anywhere else. You can imagine that such an arrangement would produce huge variation in language ability. Some people have heritage languages that they learn from visiting their grandparents once a week. Others learn through rigorous homeschooling routines enforced by their parents. Heritage learners often have some marked differences in their speech compared to speakers who grew up in a monolingual environment. They might have an accent that's affected by the dominant language they grew up with, or they might feel uncomfortable using some grammar or vocabulary that they're not as familiar with. But on the other hand, they might be able to smoothly use things like tone, grammatical gender, and other aspects of language that are extremely difficult for learners to master. Their listening comprehension is also likely good. Another big difference is in reading and writing. You probably don't remember, but reading and writing took time to learn. It may be difficult to motivate yourself or a child to learn to read or write in a new language, especially if that language has a different and complicated script. We may be tempted to rely on the reading and writing skills we already have instead of learning something new. If you have a heritage language and you're working on reactivating it, be kind to yourself. Maybe you feel like you should know how to read or write in your heritage language, but you don't. And that's okay. You can work on building those skills as any other language learner would. A great way to build literacy is to read text with audio that you can listen to at the same time. You can use the lesson notes from our language learning program or watch videos with subtitles. This is easy to do from the comfort of your home. Fifth, gaining fluency in a second language. There's a lot of divided discussion about whether it's possible to learn a language to a native level. It's important to consider what native level means. Maybe a native speaker of your target language can talk about their work flawlessly, but they can't speak in depth about a topic beyond their field. You don't expect yourself to be able to talk about absolutely everything with 100% perfection in your native language, so don't expect that you'll magically be able to communicate perfectly in the language you're learning either. Moreover, it's important to remember that nobody speaks flawlessly all the time. We all make mistakes, and we know how to correct ourselves and clarify information. The best speakers in the world make mistakes, even on stage. Everybody's stumbled over their words before. Does that mean they're not fluent in their own language? Of course not. You can do some amazing things to get a native-like accent in a foreign language, but they all take a great deal of work. Lots of people convince others that they're native speakers for the first few minutes of conversation. Does it really matter if you end up making mistakes after 40 seconds? 40 minutes? Remember, the perfect speech is not required to speak like a native. As we've talked about in this video, lots of bilingual and multilingual people have strengths and weaknesses too. Sixth, can a bilingual person forget a language? Language skills can deteriorate over time if they're not used. If you're very busy with one language and rarely use the other, you might see a drop in your abilities in the language you don't use as often. Completely forgetting a language takes a very long time, though. While you might forget a word here and there in one language, you likely won't lose a language completely unless you don't use it for decades. This is something to think about for anyone who is considering spending their life in another country. Make sure to keep your language skills up. Otherwise, as time goes on, things may be harder and harder to remember. Being bilingual or multilingual is pretty interesting. A lot of language learners compare themselves to bilinguals or multilinguals. Remember that bilingual and multilingual people put in work too, when they were kids. So don't feel discouraged if it seems like your own learning is slow. It simply takes time, and that's true for everyone. For even more tips and information related to language learning, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! If a native speaker of your target language spoke to you, how much of their speech do you think you could understand? Your answer, of course, depends a lot on your vocabulary skills. In this video, we're going to cover 5 tips for memorizing vocabulary quickly. When you learn new vocabulary words, you increase your skills in reading, writing, listening, and speaking. As you learn a language, you gain the ability to recognize vocabulary words and learn when to use them. It's important to have a vocabulary that covers a range of topics so that you can understand important announcements, safety information, conversations between friends, and posts on social media. In this video, we're going to talk about why vocabulary is important, some features and the tools we offer that help you focus on memorizing, and some tips for memorizing words faster. Throughout this video, remember that consistency is a key component to memorization. If you haven't done this already, consider adding a number of vocabulary words you'd like to master to your monthly language goals. Okay, let's get to our tips. First, master our core word lists. We offer 11 core word lists. These lists are made up of the most common words in your target language. The 100 core word list is the best list for absolute beginners. After you master that list, you can move on to the other lists in the series. The 2000 core word list is a combination of all of the lists plus an additional 1,000 words. Having knowledge of about 2,000 vocabulary words in your target language will set you up for success. Knowing a variety of words in your target language is important because it allows you to speak about and understand many different topics. While grammar is certainly important, having the vocabulary you need to go about daily life, study, or make plans is essential. So, how do you use the core word lists? With our flashcard feature. Our flashcard tool can display the vocabulary word, show a picture and translation, and play an audio recording of the vocabulary. You'll work on improving your recognition, production, and listening comprehension skills. Using a tool like this helps you associate new words with images. You also get to hear pronunciation and pitch accents from native speakers. You have the ability to choose how many new cards you'd like to learn daily. By the way, using the 2000 core word list isn't the only way to review all key vocabulary words. You can also merge your preferred lists. If you lack confidence in speaking, studying vocabulary can help you. If you master the most common words in your target language, speaking will become a bit easier. Among our core word lists are popular topics relating to hobbies, nature, food, and recreation. If you need some help making sentences with your new vocabulary, you can take a look at the core word list example sentences for ideas. These are all steps you can take to improve your speaking confidence. Second, create your own sentences. Creating your own sentences is a great way to work on memorizing new vocabulary. You can create sentences related to your daily life so that you can easily remember the sentences and use them. You can also try creating sentences you think you're likely to need before a conversation with a native speaker. In addition to our core word lists, we also have a dictionary feature. If you need help finding a certain vocabulary word, you can search for it in our dictionary. The dictionary includes audio from native speakers, so you can hear how the word is pronounced naturally and at a slower speed. With a premium membership, you'll have access to your own personal word bank. You'll be able to add words from the dictionary and our lessons to this word bank and study them using flashcards. Another thing that can help you with memorization is reading along with lesson dialogues and listening to the host's explanations. When you find a sentence that stands out, or when you make a sentence you think will be useful, make sure to actually use the sentence. Your memory will grow stronger and stronger as you review sentences and practice saying them from memory. Third, read every day. How often do you read in your target language? Reading is a fun activity that can motivate you to spend some time studying new vocabulary. When you read, you encounter words you've seen in lessons, but you also find new words. Apart from reading for fun, our language learning program offers reading comprehension pathways for all levels. These pathways feature video lessons with vocabulary you're likely to see in real life. For example, An advanced pathway might include lessons for understanding promotional information, medical instructions, and directions. These pathways are designed to test your ability to recognize words. Another way to memorize words fast is by learning songs in your target language. If you're studying a language with sounds that are very different from your first language, this can be a really helpful tactic. You can make a monthly goal to memorize 1 to 3 songs you like in your target language. You can find the lyrics to the song with a search online, and you can search for a translation as well. As you listen to the song, read the lyrics. This can help you connect the sounds you're hearing with the characters or the letters you're reading. And remember, the songs can be from anywhere. It could be a kid's song, a new pop song, or a TV show theme. You can choose. The key is to find a fun way to read every day. This will help you improve your vocabulary. Fourth, test your listening skills. Test your listening skills with our listening comprehension pathways. Each of the pathways presents a conversation, asks a question, and then gives a breakdown. In our audio lessons, the hosts break down the dialogue by talking about the usage of key vocabulary and phrases. They also explain the grammar. After you listen to the breakdown, the dialogue is easier to understand. Make sure to re-listen to the lesson dialogues to review these important concepts. Another way to use our site for listening comprehension is by changing the flashcard settings. With our flashcards, you have the option to focus on building listening comprehension. If you choose this setting, the front of your flashcard will play an audio clip, and the back will show the answer. Additionally, if you're a Premium Plus member, you can practice listening with your native speaker teacher. You can request audio responses from your teacher instead of text. If you understand their message, you can respond with an audio file of your own, or with text. If you don't fully understand, you can ask your teacher for help. One more thing you can do is use TV shows to practice listening. You can choose a segment of a show to practice. Watch it once with subtitles, then once without subtitles. Determine how much you can comprehend. Then look up the words you don't know. Fifth, take vocabulary quizzes. There are many ways to test yourself with vocabulary quizzes. Each of our lessons includes a vocabulary slideshow and quizzes that you can use for review. We also have video vocab pathways, which introduce new vocabulary based on certain themes, and they include pictures. You can also try making your own written tests with our flashcard feature. Change the flashcard settings according to your preferences. You can choose between recognition, production, and listening comprehension card types. Based on the card type you chose, write down either the vocabulary word or its translation when the card appears. Check your answers and give yourself a score for your study session. Writing vocabulary by hand is another great way to work on memorizing words. Earlier, we talked about learning vocabulary with songs. A fun and effective way to test your vocabulary and writing skills is to fill in the blanks. Copy and paste the lyrics of a song into a document and replace some of the words with blanks. Test your knowledge of the lyrics by filling in the blanks with the correct words. You can make it a little easier by including a word box, a list of vocabulary to use somewhere in the song. You can also do this with dialogues you want to practice from TV shows. To make sure you get all of the tools mentioned in this video, subscribe to our premium plan. You'll get access to all of our resources, including the core word lists and the flashcard tool. So, to recap, in this video we talked about 5 tips for memorizing new words. They were: master our core word lists, create your own sentences, read every day, test your listening skills, and take vocabulary quizzes. These tips are fun and effective ways to help you reach your vocabulary goals a bit faster. If you want to go the extra mile, subscribe to Premium Plus to get access to your own native teacher. What are your vocabulary goals? How will you achieve them? Share your answers in the comment section below. And for even more tips on how to remember vocabulary fast, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Consistent hard work is one of the biggest factors that determine someone's success, and it's true for language learning too. While it's important to choose a course and study method that's right for you, at the end of the day, the results you see are a product of the effort you put in. However, the quantity of time spent studying a new language doesn't necessarily determine the quality of your study. Spending 3 hours a day watching movies doesn't help you learn much if you're not actively engaging with the language. In this video, we'll talk about how to actively engage your mind while studying. Number 1. Think of your brain as a muscle. You might be familiar with the phrase, feel the burn, or maybe no pain, no gain. If you've been to your local gym recently, there's a chance you might have heard one of these phrases or seen something similar on a poster on a wall. In the world of sports and workouts, there's a common idea that the discomfort you feel when running, lifting weights, or doing some other physical activity is what brings results. The discomfort you feel is your muscles being pushed to their limit. It's the limit pushing that strengthens your muscles so that over time your performance increases. In the context of language learning, it's helpful to think of your brain as a muscle being trained. Just as we need to push against our physical limits when exercising, we also need to push our mental ones when learning a foreign language. Have you ever studied or practiced your target language in a way that left you tired or even exhausted? If so, you've experienced what it's like to push your brain out of its linguistic comfort zone. Number 2, practice active listening. One of the easiest ways to push your language skills is to practice active listening. Active listening is when you listen to spoken language and do your best to understand what you hear. The best way to accomplish this is by using audio that you can't completely understand on the first listen. Preferably, you want to use audio that has subtitles or transcripts in your target language for you to double-check your understanding after you listen to it. You can use movies, YouTube clips, or our lessons. During this exercise, you might feel like you're able to pick out only a few words here and there. During this practice session, you should listen to the audio several times. The first time around, it's okay if no words or just a few words stick out to you. Simply make a mental note of any words or sounds you recognize. The second time you listen, you're likely to recognize a little more than you did the previous time. Expect similar results with your third or even fourth time listening. When you reach a point where you can't understand any more words, go ahead and look at the subtitles or transcripts. Listen to the audio again and read along with the text. Odds are that you'll see words in the text you know, but didn't hear correctly. You're also likely to encounter words that are new to you completely. As you play back the audio and read along, try to guess what these words mean from the context of the words around them. After you've read along a couple times, look up the unfamiliar words in a dictionary or translator app. This active listening exercise routine is a great way to increase your listening and comprehension skills, while picking up some new vocabulary along the way. It also allows you to learn new words in context, which itself is a powerful way to help you retain what you study. Number 3, practicing with native speakers. Practicing with native speakers is the best way to push your language skills. Using what you've studied to communicate in real time is how you'll really challenge yourself. Try to connect with a native speaker on a weekly basis. Remember, consistency is important when you're learning a foreign language. If you live in a large metropolitan area, then there's a chance that there are some local native speakers nearby. Try visiting a local language exchange or meetup group to make the necessary connections. If you're unable to find a practice partner locally, then you can take your search online. There are a number of sites that help you find and connect with other language learners from around the world. For example, if you're a native English speaker learning a new language, you can find a native speaker of your target language who is learning English. There are tons of language learners around the world who have learned or are learning a second language. You're likely to find someone who knows your target language and is looking to improve his or her English. Learning a new language isn't always easy, but it's the discomfort that comes with pushing your ability in the language that produces results in your studies. Don't be afraid to step outside of your comfort zone. It's okay to move far outside of your native language. You'll expand your mind and your skills. Also remember that language learning is in every way a lot like an adventure. There will be fun times and times when it feels like you're swimming upstream. It's by keeping your head up through these ups and downs that you will experience the satisfaction that comes with learning a foreign language. Keep moving ahead. And for even more tips on how to engage better in your language learning, check out our complete language learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account by clicking on the link in the description. Get tons of resources to have you speaking in your target language. And if you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share the video with anyone who's trying to learn a new language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. I'll see you next time. Bye! Great work! Here's a reward. Speed up your language learning with our PDF lessons. Get all of our best PDF cheat sheets and ebooks for free. Just click the link in the description.